Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe here with me, my co-host Stan.
Hello and greetings.
And as you can see us in this video. Yay! Anyways, we're going to show our reactions in miniature, I guess, down here. Yay, don't we look great. Anyways, outside the sardonic wit, or better yet, let's put that aside and celebrate Council of the Rings. Rings of Power, How It Should Have Been, Season 1, Episode 2. I still think he should keep Eldarion to just one season. He's going to say, you're now beating a dead horse. And I'll say, I'll keep beating it. I'll keep beating it, my friend. Anyways, last time we got quite a few views for our other video. Some people agreed with us. Most probably did not, I think. But let's see if we're with the crowd or we're doing something right, as I think one philosopher once said. I think it was Mark Twain, who once said that if you agree with everyone else, you're doing something wrong. I love Twain.
So that means Mark Twain said, subscribe to the Brothers Crin.
Okay, sure. We'll plug the channel. Actually, seriously, go subscribe. We're almost at 1,000. We need your help to do it. Yeah, Uncle Sam wants you to do it.
Previously in the Second Age show,
Okay.
the young Númenórean prince Eldarion sailed to Grey Havens, capital of the Elves of Lindon. Here he befriended Círdan the shipwright and High King gil-galad. He also met with Elrond, twin brother of Elros, the ancestor of Eldarion.
I love the art
and
here.
Here he also learned that the servants of Morgoth are still hiding somewhere in Middle-earth. And while he learned this, there was a secret council meeting with all the notable elves of Lindon. Galadriel revealed that an unknown shadow is growing in the east.
That's some of the best art I've ever seen for Galadriel.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, Source 66, or Source 667, I think it is. The one who does our Galadriel art is the only one I'd say probably I prefer, but this looks great.
Stunning.
Yeah. Well, his Elrond, here, I'll just go back. The art for Elrond that he has, here, just...
Previously in the Second Age show, the young Earth, and while he learns, capital of the Elves of Lindon, here he befriended Círdan the shipwright.
Yeah, you sound great.
King
I get
gil-galad.
it.
He also met with
Now, well, you have Elros, of course, father of the line of kings of Númenor, and you have Elrond. Wow, just look at that art. That's probably the best Elrond art I've ever seen.
It looks like some of those portraits of historical kings.
I know, it looks perfect. But if you notice, he's holding a book and he's near, well, forest and whatnot. So the thing is, he's obviously, I think, in Lindon, and, well, this showcases he's a scholar, and he looks so regal and whatnot. Now, Elros here is dressed in a manner that is reminiscent of medieval kings, because, you know, they had the brooch and the kind of semi-cloak and whatnot. But it also is reminiscent, I think, of Greece in the Roman period, it seems to me. So you just have visual differences. Well, actually, this would be more classical than medieval. Man, the art is perfect. Oh man. Anyways, let's go.
stands next to Ventur.
Like,
that also looks back.
One complaint we did not have was about Eldarion. This is Eldarion. Like, this is how he should look. He looks great. Now, we ended up doing a reading of it recently, The Mariner's Wife. We read the whole story, and we did it all in live stream and analyzed it as we went along. And it's a great stream, so do check it out. We'll probably have to put it in the comment section of this video or something for you guys to check it out. But honestly, I really wish we managed to get a picture like this for the thumbnail instead. This is such a great look.
Back towards the sound. What devilry is this? Something foul and nameless.
Okay, I just noticed something. Here, I'll just move us. Okay, sorry for this. Let's go all the way up here, because I screwed up. Yeah, there, much better.
leap into his mouth.
Sorry about that.
The ship is
I
hit.
just noticed that the visual
Almost
quality
all
wasn't
of
as
the
good
men
as it
fall
should
to the
be.
ground. Suddenly, tentacles rise from the waves and grab the ship. One mariner is thrown overboard and disappears into the darkness.
Man overboard!
2 arms, men. 2 arms. Vientor stands in shock as Aldarian yells. The mariners start to grab bows and axes
Yeah,
to fight off the tentacles.
Aldarian would.
Some are grabbed by the monster,
I could
while
see
others
why
try
it's
to
kind of
hide.
Quick to the sword.
Aldarian, here, take this.
Movement.
He throws him an axe. They give a little nod to each other. We see Ulba and Hinderk trying to hit the tentacles with their arrows, but to no avail.
This reminds me of the
Vientor grabs an
Sinbad
axe
movie.
and fights a tentacle
Yeah.
that has
But
grabbed
not
one of the
the
mariners.
Okay,
Both Aldarian and Voranwe.
obviously this is going to be a creepy fight, not the silly fight that was in that movie. I love that movie. Great animation, great art. But evidently we should take this more seriously.
What I like
Stands
about
ready
this
with
is
their
that he's covering something that we were concerned about. One of our concerns about in the previous episode.
Yeah,
We wanted to see a sea fight, and this I actually like.
gives it in
Says,
spades.
Prepare to cut off one of the largest tentacles holding the ship. Now! They both start hacking off the tentacle, and it's cut loose from the monster. It growls in the deep, and with a roar, its hideous face shows itself to the entire crew. It has 2
Great
dark
Kraken
eyes,
art.
like bottomless pits.
Looks really
It
creepy.
attacks the mariners, and both Aldarian and Voranwe have to jump away to save themselves. Vientor is grabbed by the creature,
Oh,
and it
shoot.
opens its
Oh, yeah.
foul
I
mouth
like him.
with razor-sharp teeth. Aldarian grabs
That's
an arrow
creepy.
and shoots the creature in the eye. It drops Vientor into the sea and turns its attention towards Aldarian. It roars. and
Okay,
makes
I'm
an-
sorry for pausing, everyone. I'm going to be honest. Krakens are my second favorite sea monster in mythology. My second favorite. So I'm really happy he included a Kraken fight. I didn't expect one so soon. I was actually expecting a pirate fight or something. But this is even better.
an
So-
attack.
I'm going to be honest. He's getting brownie points for me just for a Kraken. The best one is probably sea dragons or something. Like Skillas, sort of. But like... Because I've seen in some stories, sea dragons, like, they're dragons, but they're of the sea. Those are the best ones. Actually, try for episode 3, Council. Have a sea dragon. And you'll be spoiling me rotten.
But the other mariners pick up
Now
their
he's got to
bows
appeal to
and
much
aim
more.
for the head.
To a lot more
The
people than
monster
just...
loses its grip, and Ulba and Hinderk makes it lose another tentacle with their axes. You're a fool, Aldarian, but also the bravest man I've ever met.
I like that
Surely
quote.
agree with you.
You're a fool, but also the bravest
Ship
man
is
I ever
yours,
met.
And you're the captain of Numarama. I'm honored, and without words, grown in stature. Father, you've always had my eyes, but they seem to shine brighter than ever. And Darian gives him a smile, and then looks back east. There's
This
a
is
sadness
before
in
the
his
darkness
face.
overtakes
What
the
did you see,
relationship.
my son, in your far journeys that now lies most in memory? But Aldarian, looking east towards the night,
Okay,
was silent.
when I read that line, I thought there was a slight hint of hope. Like when I usually I read it as there's a slight hint of hope on Menelder's part that his son will not go back to the sea. But here, what he did was, it's more like a friendly question, and like Menelder genuinely wants to know, rather than hopeful to divert his son, like to remind his son these are memories, not you're not going back, are you? Kind of thing. But what Council of the Rings is doing is a much better approach there in showing actually Menelder does want to hear. So I actually like that way of looking at it, and I much prefer this.
Yes.
It's because it makes Menelder a much better character. Introducing Celebrimbor as the son of Caruthin and grandson of Feanor might not gain you much brownie points in some parts of the world with some people. But, well, such as some of the Sindarin elves, because, well, Thingol kind of went down because of the whole Selmarel problem, technically speaking. And then you have his lineage, which suffered repeated assaults by Maithros and Maglor and the rest of their brothers. But with the dwarves, one has to bear in mind, in terms of the lore, that actually, the Kurufin, I'm pretty sure, had a pretty good relationship with the dwarves. Generally, the Feanorians were on really, really good terms with the dwarves. So, it's actually a smart move to send him in as the ambassador and to introduce him, because the dwarves will probably like him. So that's a lore detail that Council of the Rings is doing a good job showcasing there. That's something I approve of.
They enter the small hall of the Lord that sits on a small common throne.
Here, this reminds me of Volusia from the Hyborian Age, from Howard's literature. I've seen pictures where this is the kind of hall it looks like, especially in the Cull comic of 2009. So I really like this. I'm just saying it reminds me of Volusia, though in that case it was Tiger banners and standards, because the totem animal of Cull is a tiger.
Made of stone. The dwarf guard bows and steps aside and presents the guest, and pulls out a gemstone with runes carved into it. I've come to return this gemstone to its home. Long ago, this was made by Telkar himself in these mountains, and given as a gift to Thingol of Doriath. And in Doriath, Daeron carved these runes. Anar stands up and walks down to him. His red fiery beard almost reaches his boots. Celebrimbor hands him the gemstone to look at. Anar inspects it carefully and holds it up against the light from a torch. He is struck with awe, and we see the colors of the gemstone reflect in his eyes. The runes say that any that hold this gem will forever be protected from illness and bad fortune.
Too bad it didn't work for Thingol or Daeron.
But that's one big gift.
Yeah. So badly. Most of what we had fell into ruin.
Ouch.
Many dwarves were trapped at the roots of the mountains, in places no sunlight have ever touched. After that, most of our people started to wander east because of doom. It is a tragedy what happened to your people. You know, most elves don't understand wars. Celebrimbor looks at Navi. But I am not like most elves. Is that why you're here? You're tired of your own kind? Well, I don't blame you. I am in need of your help. How so? I need to get...
Okay, more casual anti-elf bigotry, please. I want more comments against elves by dwarves.
And here it is, I was thinking, wow, the elves and dwarves are getting along pretty well. And then that comment comes up.
Yep, it's as expected. The sad thing is that from what we saw of last episode, there's a theme that Council of the Rings is going with, and that's that amongst the high-ranking lords of the elves, Celebrimbor is not exactly Mr. Popular. So this is where I think that Council of the Rings is touching upon a major point it's very good, because it means, well, for one thing, Celebrimbor probably at this point would feel more comfortable with the dwarves than with the elves. He'd be more accepted.
Yeah.
So.
Do. And I expect you would know the way if travels on the long road ahead of them. But
now that's a nod to Norse mythology to an extent with two major ravens, Hugni and Munin, being the eyes and ears to an extent of Odin. Now these two ravens were a force of good in the world, but most notably in modern literature, in The Hour of the Dragon, Conan ends up at one point followed and haunted by a raven which seeks to give away his location to Erastes, a dark sorceress warlock, in the service of Xaltotan, the Dark Lord. And so the raven, of course, is eventually destroyed by an eagle in the service of Zalada, a friend of Conan's, whom he befriends on the road. So and before that, there's a lot of myths about ravens and crows. So I'm just pointing to the modern mythology in terms of Conan and to ancient mythology. So Council of the Rings here basically showed us a nice nod to other stories.
They are about to part ways. Perhaps not. But I'm not very good at keeping secrets for a long time. We see the company continue east and cross a small river as we leave them. Back at the docks of Grey Havens, The ship Numarama is being prepared by the
Okay, I hope we get to see. Well, like I hope it's shown later that Celebrimbor can't keep a secret. I wonder if it's supposed to be like Lily Aldrin
Norrians and the elves.
from
The elves have given
Erickson
them
from
food, water,
How I Met Your
and
Mother.
other goods for the journey. Eldarion is on board preparing the sails with the runway. At the docks, Kieran accompany Elrond to the ship. You know, he reminds me a lot about him. My brother. No, your father. Elrond looks a little surprised at Kieran, and then at Eldarion. I can't remember his face. I can barely remember the face of my brother now. I think this journey will be good for you. Some wounds only time can heal. You of all people should know that.
Now, there, I think Elrond's lying about not being able to remember his brother's face. Thing about his dad, he barely even knew his father. Eärendil was gone before. Well, it's just Eärendil left for the sea, and what happened was that the Feanorians came in and massacred a good chunk of the survivors of Gondolin and Doriath, and, well, Mommy then disappeared off a cliff because she cheated. She had the magic sheet of the universe and turned into a bird and flew off to be with Eärendil, and the two then went to Valinor, whereupon they basically got to ride through the heavens as the Morning Star. In turn, Elrond and Elros got left behind to be fostered with Maethros and Maglor.
I wish you good fortune. Give my regards to Amroth and the Sindar of his people. Elrond thanks him. We see the ships that sail and leave the harbours of the elves. Numarama is accompanied by 2 elven ships, and bring them goods, then come home with the finest iron you can imagine. Sounds like your father was quite an adventurer. What about your father? Was he a craftsman too? We get a flashback of Celebrimbor and Corfin working in the smithy together. Aye, he taught me many things. I prefer not to speak of him. As the words...
The reason he would prefer not to speak of him is because Corfin was something of a black heart. And Celebrimbor disagreed with him about the swearing of the Oath of Feanor. And the many horrors that Corfin inflicted on others throughout the First Age. So it's a complicated relationship. And here Council of the Rings did a good job showing, hinting really at how it would be complex.
I look
Sleep
forward to
Celebrimbor's
that.
mouth. A howl is heard in the night, and soon after...
Did that as in reading it in the Silmarillion or watching more of this?
Watching more of this and the
More
Silmarillion.
howls follow.
It's a great read.
Walks. They hear the wild beasts approach through the woods. The dwarves pick up branches from the campfire, while others draw their weapons. Suddenly one of the wargs attacks Pengoloth, and Navi tries to help him with his axe. The warg jumps away, and another attacks Navi from behind, and he falls to the ground. Celebrimbor swings his hammer towards the warg, but shrieks as it's hit on the back. The wargs fall back into the dark. Listen, I made a promise to myself that day, never to see him again. The sorrow of seeing him would be too great, and now we shall never meet again, not even in the blessed realm. I'm sorry that I asked. Please forgive me, Elrond. There's nothing to forgive. I see a little of him in you, actually.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's an interesting interpretation to the Elrond-Elros relationship. I don't mind it. I would suspect that they did probably meet again after Elros left for Numenor, because Elros came in back and forth to gather people for Numenor, I believe. But this interpretation is much more dramatic and whatnot, and I do like it. It adds a bit of drama. Although that said, it makes Elrond an emotional coward, because it means he was afraid to, see his brother grow old. And it demonstrates Elros to have been the more mature and wiser brother of the two, which I'm of the opinion they were kind of equal in wisdom and whatnot, but it's, for an adaptation, it would make sense to an extent to go with this so that you can then have character development and Elrond grows into things.
It's the greatest compliment I've ever gotten. Elrond smiles, but don't get too used to it. It's not one of my strong suits. We see the ship pass the Cape of Rasmorthi and sail along the fair shores of Anphelos. We get the impression another day pass, and as the sun rises in the east, Adarian awakes.
Actually, Elrond's compliments are the best in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So he's lying again. So we've proven he's a pathological liar in this series. I'm joking. I'm joking. No, he's not Autolycus from Hercules' Legendary Journeys.
Oh boy.
I love the King of Thieves. He is, after all, the King of Thieves.
And walk up next to him.
I don't want a character like that in the story.
I think we're here. Adarian looks a little surprised. Dolphins start to accompany Adarian look at each other. They both pick up a wooden sword and try to hit Amroth, but quickly realize he is quite a capable fighter. The practice fight continues as the scene fades out.
Necessary practice fight scene. That's my reaction to those scenes. Practice fight scenes like that are never for me. So I guess there had to be one. So yeah.
They traveled south until they came upon this lake. He looked down into the water and saw a crown above his head, being the reflection of stars above. Taking the crown as a sign, he then founded the great city of Khazad-dûm beneath the mountains that fed Miramir. This is why it's sacred, and why they all go to that column over there, close to the southern end of the lake. Got a column with a broken top,
Well, I guess that's a sign.
stone. All the dwarves walk over to it and pay their respect to Durin the First before they continue up the road towards the east gate.
Better than
Gilgalad
getting a
looks
sword
at
out
the
of the
column.
water.
It is rather simple, but yet he dares not touch it. In front of them, they start to see more dwarves near the gate, both greeting them, doing business, and to the north, and then to the great hills of Belfalas. He is curious to see them and wonder if there's a fine look from the top of the hills. Amroth admits he has never been there, as there are hostile men living near the mountains, men that worship a god unknown to the elves. Adarian is curious to know more, but Amroth can only say that the god they worship is none of the Valar, and remains nameless for all they know and care. Adarian's curiosity is sparked, and he asks Amroth if he can take him to the hills of Belfalas, so he can get a good look at his country. Amroth bows his head slightly, with a smile, and we leave the scene. We cut to different surroundings we haven't seen yet. It's Lake Nanuil, and we see...
You know, there's men who worship an evil dark god. So basically, we should go up there and check it out. Maybe there will be ice cream. I'm just saying, it is impulsive.
the elves bathing in the lake and dancing among the trees. We follow Gildo and Glorian and his wandering Nandor horses in the hills of Bel.
That said, it's important to note that the power dynamics amongst the Sindarin elves of later Lorien, but of the elves of Celeborn's group, are basically Galadriel's followers, as she's really the one in charge. Celeborn's just a figurehead, just an accessory piece for Galadriel, and really not her match in any way. I know there was going to be those who say, well, he's known as the wise. It doesn't matter. She's top dog. She's in charge. You follow her because she's the one with the brains. And also the beauty, I guess.
Belfalas. But Arian will run with.
I wonder if we'll see Celebrian soon. Galadriel's daughter. She's later wife to Elrond. Very
Ulva and
important
Hendek
figure.
are also given horses and accompany the elves to one of the tops of the hills. Nadarian gets a good look over the land, both west, south, east and north. He marvels at the beauty of Middle-earth, but one place catches his eye. A land to the east, where no sunlight seems to reach. What land lies behind those mountains? It is a cursed land, home to nothing but ash and poisonous fumes. Mordor. It is a land cursed by the sorcery of Morgoth, forever stained by his mischiefs. Nadarian's face grows grim, and he looks back at Ithalon. He is curious to know more about the men in the area, but Amroth can't say much more than he already has. He says they are unfriendly and wish no contact at all. Any attempts of contact between them and the elves would only lead to death. Lotarian is disappointed by the news, but then Amroth reveals he has heard similar stories from other shores. Some of the Sinta have travelled south, but not all of them returned again. Lotarian of course wants to know more and would like to talk with those that have returned, but Amroth explains that they decided to sail west as their wounds never seemed to recover. Amroth then offers them to stay for the winter and that he will do what he can to find out more. Lotarian agrees, but only if he can teach him how to fight with a sword. Amroth laughs, and we zoom out and over to a minor scene with the three companions. Ulba look west towards Numenor, a sorrowful look. What are you staring at? Nothing. Them. They're brought before the great throne of Durin. At the high top sits Durin III, on his carven throne with ornamented steps. What brings two elves into the halls of my ancestors? Do you not know your kin is not welcome in these halls? Pengoloth asked him to forgive them for their rudeness. They were sent there to negotiate with him on behalf
Yeah,
of...
I mean, you're not smithing, crafting, or mining right now. So, what in the heck are you even doing there? You should be doing one of those three things at all times.
I mean, if not, you're a dwarf. You're not a dwarf.
Yeah, even if you're a visitor, you have to be doing that all the time.
Gil-galad. Durin is displeased to hear this, and asks why Gil-galad himself didn't come if it's so important. Pengoloth is without words, but Celebrimbor steps in. He says he can make Durin III the richest dwarf of the line of Durin, with a hoard greater than the other 6 combined. Durin is intrigued and wants to know more, but Celebrimbor will only speak if he can remove the blindfold. Durin grunts, but his greed gets the better of him, and he allows both Celebrimbor and Pengoloth to see the throne room. Pengoloth is overwhelmed, but Celebrimbor keeps his eye on the king. Now tell me more. Celebrimbor then proceeds by telling him of how his grandfather Fëanor created the Silmarils and how the world marveled at their beauty. Many of the dwarves started to listen to him as he explains the details of the crafts. Celebrimbor then continues and explains how he and many other Noldor share a love for crafting, just as much as dwarves, and he ends his speech by talking about the jewels and metals of the mountain that could be turned into objects of great power that could make the dwarves of Khazad-dûm not only rich, but also strong, like the foundations of the mountains themselves. Durin finally smiles, with a twinkle in his eyes. We leave the scene in Khazad-dûm and cut back to Aldarion and Elrond, returning to Grey Havens.
Okay, this part
They're
is
entering the halls of
rushed.
gil-galad, and Elrond hands over the star's hand. With it, you will always be able to find your way. Aldarion inspects the compass carefully
That's nice.
and is speechless. At last he thanks the High King and bows his head. Círdan stands nearby. We get the impression he played a part in the gift as well, perhaps a token crafted on his behalf. The scene fades to the ship of Numarama 4 years later, setting sail from Grey Havens. The mariners wave farewell to the elves at the docks, and trumpets sound as the ship departs.
Oh wait, my mistake. Earlier I said spends 2 years under Círdan's tutelage. That's already happened. It's 4 years. Yeah, it's the second trip.
Farewell, Numenorians. Safe travels, and may the light of Eärendil shine upon you all. Aldarion smiles, and then turns his head towards the west, back home to Numenor. And here ends episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I really want to have some custom artwork
Alright. Actually,
for this series, and you can actually make that happen by supporting the channel.
yeah, so he has a Patreon. Yay. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button on our channel so that we can get to 1,000 subs. But now we're going to give our rating of 0 to 4 stars, depending on how we like it. And 0 stars is 0 stars is terrible and beyond the pall. 4 is perfection.
3.5.
3.
I really enjoyed it. I got so caught up in it. There's a lot of plot points that are starting.
Yeah.
We're getting deep dives into lore.
Yeah. So I'll leave a like. And yeah. Like I said, don't forget to smash the like button on our video and subscribe, because we need to get to 1,000 subs. And until then, do take care.